Hello, everyone, and welcome to our daily astrology reading. It is absolutely lovely to see you. My name is Michelle Marie, and I am the owner and operator of Astrological Tarot. You can find me at astrologicaltarot.com. I am both a Vedic astrologer and Jyotish practitioner, as well as a tarot and oracle card reader. And I'm well versed in Vedic philosophy, mantras, good things like that. So thank you guys so much for joining me this morning, and happy Jupiter Day. Jupiter, also known as Brihaspati Dev. And oh, can you get them off my altar, sweetie? That would be amazing. So Brihaspati, Indra, and Brahma. Love you. We worshiped them this morning. It was really fun. We do it every morning. So what we do as part of our Jyotish practice is we get up in the morning and we honor the Lord of the day, and that's Jupiter, Brihaspati. He's the guru. He helps us with all things spiritual, and he is about to go direct on my ascendant from the 1st through the 7th, and I have been looking forward to this for the last 12 years. So this is some good energy. Oh, thank you, sweetie. Here's Brihaspati here, guys. So you can tell he's a guru, he's a sage, and what he does is he is the preceptor, he's the guide for the devas and the humans. So he helps us move toward moksha, or liberation, so that we can attain those higher levels of development and understanding. So, oh, his colors are orange, which is what I'm wearing here. And you can see he wears a mala because that reminds us to do our mantras. And I'll show you a few mantras today for him. And I also wear my amber for him too. And of course, I'm always wearing turquoise because I feel naked without it. So great things going on in the sky. Venus is in Pisces. Woohoo! That's good for the for women in the collective, because Pisces is the exaltation sign for Venus. So that's good. We do have Rahu, the North Node, and Neptune there. So it's important that we keep good company and not allow negative influences or people that bring us off our dharmic path, which is the right path of living and being. So that's an important thing to note. Saturn is still in Aquarius. He's between 22 and 23 degrees. So if you have any planets in and around there, my heart goes out to you. I had him go direct on my moon last year, and it's a pretty intense energy. So if you ever need remedies, I'm here. We have Mars retrograde in Gemini. So we still can have those fiery communications going about. So it's good that we try to temper our emotions today, because there's a lot of things going on there. Like I said, Jupiter is about to go direct, and he's in Taurus at 17 degrees. I'm really, really happy about that because that's my ascendant. So if you have any planets in Taurus, you can expect Santa Claus to come to town, because that's what the guru does. Regardless of what house he's in, he can provide a lot of benefit. Even if it's a bad house, he can provide a lot of help. So I really love the guru. Oh my gosh. So, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, today is Jupiter Day. That is ruled by Brihaspati Dev. He is the guru, and he helps us on our spiritual path. So that's always a really good thing. And he also gives us a lot of wonderful gifts on the human journey. So I really love him. And he helps us with our bodies as well. He's the Graha Devata, which means body. And then we have the lovely Indra. He is king of the gods. He helps us with our minds, and he wields lightning. So he is the ruler of Uranus, and he likes to strike lightning in our lives to kind of wake us up and shake things up and get us out of any kind of stagnation, so that we can wake up to new possibilities. And Brahma is the Pratyadi Devata, and he is the creator of the universe. We have a creator, we have a destroyer, and we have a preserver. The destroyer is Shiva, and the creator is Brahma, and the preserver is Vishnu. So today's Pratyadi is definitely Brahma. So you can see here he's being, you can see all the various devas around him. There's Vishnu up here. He's the dreamer, and he's preserving the universe. There's Brahma. He's creating the universe. And then here's Shiva over here with the most adorable depiction of Nandi, his mount. And they're sitting with, the doctor of the gods and other devas as well. So I love this depiction of Brahma. I think it's really neat. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the moon today. And I love this moon because my moon is actually right in between Dhanishta and Shatabishak. And depending on the year, I can either be a Dhanishta or a Shatabishak. So basically what that is, it's a nakshatra. And the nakshatras indicate where our spiritual gifts lie, and also what we can expect during this planetary dasha. Now, this is my moon, and this is the star of symphony. I do have a very musical mind. I studied music growing up. I was a singer, and I can pick up a few instruments, which is good, but I like to whistle whenever I hear a song. I also love mantras and japa and kirtan. And I tend to be drawn toward musicians, like Jonathan's a drummer. And I love the rhythm of the universe and tapping into that. But my spiritual gift is that I can bring, it says, let's see, I have the power to give abundance and fame. And so whenever I choose to bring someone into my energy, I try to uplift them or help them, either on a material or a spiritual level achieve. I love doing that. So I worked as a teacher for a lot of years, a coach, things like that. So I really, really love it when I see people like winning. That's my favorite thing. So if you're in and around my energy and my emotional energy, that's kind of where I tend to slide into is that promoter, so to speak. And that's what I did for many years with Jonathan. Is I was a digital marketing and networking person, and I would take small businesses and I would put them in front of I would get them above Google for corporations and give them lots of business. So that was really fun to see like the small businesses like beat out the big guys. I loved that job. So anyway, so that's just a little bit about Dhanishta, but we love music and dance. We love reciting mantras. We can be very liberal and we're brave in the face of adversity because we're the lioness. So we're just like, you can't do that to my cubs. So that's the overall the overall meaning of the moon today. And our path in life is to follow Dharma. If we get off the Dharmic path, we get bitten. So it's really important for us to stay on course. So that's the overall moon today. And I just love that energy because, yeah, I relate to it. The book that I'm kind of referring to right after I do my meditation in the morning is Concentration and Meditation, and it's by Swami Sivananda. You guys can get this on sivananda.org or the divinelifesociety.org. They're all free PDFs there. They have a huge internet archive, so this is all free for y'all. Okay? All right. So today is about jealousy. Ooh. This is a great obstacle. Even sadhus who have renounced everything and who live on one cowpea only in the caves of Gangotri or Uttarakashi in the Himalayas are not free of this evil vritti. A vritti is like a thought. So even the sages that are like meditating up in the mountains and away from society and given up everything, they struggle with this. So sadhus are more jealous than householders. Now we're all householders down here. Me technically not because I'm renting, but when I say householders, when you live in a house, you're not living in a cave up in the Himalayas. So and we're all part of society and having to interact with each other. So sadhus can be more jealous than us, and they're separate from society. So I thought that was really interesting. So their hearts burn when they see another sadhu in a flourishing condition, or when they notice that a neighboring sadhu is respected and honored by the public. So there can be a need for fame that comes from gurus that we need to be aware of and be cautious of. Let's see. They try to vilify the neighbor and adopt methods for his destruction or elimination. Now, as a Dhanishta, this doesn't really run in me, but I have been around people that are like this, and it bugs the crud out of me because I'm like, you know how much better this world would be if we just all propped each other up, and if we found that someone had an amazing gift, we could advertise that and everyone would benefit. That's how I go. All right. What a sad sight. What a deplorable spectacle. Horrible to think, dreadful to imagine. When hearts burn, how can you expect peace of mind? That is so true. This actually reminds me of when my husband was on city council. There was a woman who showed up, and they all announced through the neighborhood council that she was on, we found a way to fix all the potholes in the street. And she was like, yay, it's been bothering me. And by the way, we need to fix the sidewalks too. And they said, oh, great. We actually passed something through the city to where it's going to cost about $20 a year to fix all of the sidewalks. And she goes, I'm not paying that. And they go, wait a minute, you have a huge, like your sidewalk is literally like this. You can, if you get sued, that's like millions of dollars if someone like, dies and cracks their head. Why don't you want this? It's only $20. And she goes, well, then Jenny at Bloody Bloody Street is going to get her sidewalk fixed too. And I'm not going to give her the satisfaction. It's that. It's like you're hurting yourself to hurt somebody else. I've never really understood that, but there are a lot of people that really struggle with this. And as light workers, we also need to be aware of it, especially when that creeping feeling comes in, if that's something that you struggle with. Okay. Let's see. Jealousy is the worst enemy of peace and jnana. Jnana is knowledge and wisdom. It is the strongest weapon of Maya. Maya is the illusion or the dream that we're all living in, because in the Vedas, we believe that we are living in the dream of God and we're all character witnesses, okay? Aspirants should always be on alert. They should not become slaves of name and fame or jealousy, because if you're too focused on your own fame and you forget about other people, that's not a good thing. We know a few people that are in office right now doing that, and that's not fun. If there is jealousy, he is a small little being only. Yes, they're like toddlers. He is far from God. One should rejoice at the welfare of others. When we rejoice at the welfare of others, it can bring us joy. It's like a two-way street, I find. Okay, so he should feel Atma Bhava in all beings. Atma Bhava means that you can see the divine spirit in all beings, okay? Jealousy assumes various forms of Ursha, Asuya, and Matsarya. Now, Ursa means jealousy or envy, and that's like feeling resentment when someone else possesses something that you don't. It's a huge obstacle to personal growth. And then Asuya, that means fault finding or resentment. And that is you're resenting others for their wisdom, for their accomplishments, for various virtues that you haven't really stepped into yet. That is a major spiritual flaw. And there's a lot of people that are just shining right now. And I find that the best way to push through that, if you find people in your environment struggling with it, is to replace that with admiration. Like, I met a person who, because I love Celine Dion, I love her voice. I think she's got the most incredible, I mean, her vocal range is amazing. And I met someone that said, oh, I hate her. And I go, how can you hate Celine Dion? I mean, come on. I mean, she's like bringing it down. She's a Ravati. Sattva, sattva, sattva. She's bringing that heavenly music down. How could you hate her? That's Gandhava energy, which are the celestial musicians. And they go, oh, there's no way someone that skinny and that pretty can have that much vocal come out of her. And I'm like, jealousy. Yuck. Like, why can't you just admire it and be glad that that's here for us to all to enjoy, you know? So it's stuff like that that is just like, you know how miserable you are because of that? So we're all coming across things like that. And then the third one is Matsarya, and that is malicious envy or extreme jealousy. That's like the real bad stuff. And that's when like Krota comes out, that's anger, that's when greed comes out, that's when you start to hurt other people because you don't feel like you got what you wanted. And we kind of have that going on in the United States right now. It's a very destructive form of envy because it involves action. And it poisons the heart, and it creates a lot of like really bad energy in and around. Okay. So all forms of jealousy must be totally eradicated. Just as milk bubbles out again and again during the process of ebullition, so jealousy bursts out again and again, and it must be entirely rooted out. Now, ebullition is it's the boiling over of milk, and when it reaches a really high temperature, it froths and it rises and it spills over. Okay, so it's kind of like when you make a cappuccino and you have that froth at the top. It's kind of like that. So what that represents is like a sudden surge of emotion, passion, or it could also be spiritual awakening if it's pushed in the right direction. But it's when boiling milk like flows over unexpectedly. So usually before any of these behaviors happen in us, you can kind of feel them simmer, and they get more and more and more. And then when they boil over, that's when they get out of control, and then they express themselves. So it's an overflowing of emotions, and it indicates that we need to do some inner transformation. I have this when it comes to righteous anger. I really need to check it because I have Mars in the second house, and that's speech. And when I was little and I saw something that I didn't like, it was like, bam, I would just say it. And like the other kid would just start crying. I did not have to hit. I just had to use my words, and I had to be really careful with that. And when I got older, it was like, okay, what is a more ahimsa or non-violent way for me to approach this person and fix this problem? So I just don't let them have it. And I have a way of just, I can look at a person, I can find out what their weakness is and be like, boom. And it's not a good thing. It is a good thing in emergencies though, because I can bring a man to his knees if he's attacking a woman. That's a good thing to have. I've gotten men to put guns down. So that it helps in emergencies, but not when it comes to like everyday things that we see, especially when we're coming across people we don't know. So that's something that I work on, especially a little bit. So that's just something that we can all reflect on today, is like, what areas of our life are kind of bubbling over, and how can we address them when they're at the simmer level? Because if we can address them at the simmer level, then our emotions won't get out of control. So I found a really good passage in the Gita too that I wanted to read you guys before I get into the tarot for the day. So I thought this was really neat, and I think this should give you guys some hope in how things work down here. So the Supreme Soul, and this is from the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Sivananda. You guys can get this at sivananda.org or at the divinelifesociety.org. All free stuff, okay? So Upadrashta, that means a spectator, a witness, an onlooker, a bystander, or one who sits near. When priests and sacrificers form the sacrificial rites, an expert who has good experience in sacrificial matters sits by their side. He does not take any part of the sacrifice. He sits as a silent witness. He guides them. He points out their defects and corrects them. Even so, the Supreme Self does not act. It does not take any part of the activities of our bodies, minds, or senses. It is entirely distinct from them. It is a silent witness of their activities. He sits near nature, that's our bodies, that's here on earth, and silently watches her actions. And so the Supreme Soul in this body is called the spectator, the permitter, the supporter, the enjoyer, the great Lord in the Supreme Self, and Source. So what that means is every single one of us is a hidden camera. And he's inside of us, the Holy Spirit, the Atman, and Atman has no gender. But it's kind of like we're all walking around with cameras and senses and everything. So everything we do, everything we say, everything we see, everything we do with these bodies and what is done to us is recorded. And it's Chitragupta that keeps the Akashic records that writes all this down. And at the end of our birth, each part of our body confesses truthfully to what we did and what we didn't do. And that determines our next birth. And then Yama sends us to whatever loka, which is the various multiple realms of existence, depending on who we were as human beings. It is incredibly difficult to get a human birth. And what's interesting is that more tamasic souls that don't really understand how this place works, they think they're getting away with stuff. They have a hidden camera literally looking at them all the time, feeling them all the time, listening to their thoughts all the time, feeling their hearts all the time. And if people knew that, I think they'd act a little differently. So I thought that was really interesting. So it might be explained in another way. The body, the eyes, the mind, the intellect, and the self are the seers. Of these, the body is the external seer, and the self is the most internal and nearest seer. Beyond the self, that's capital S, there is no other internal seer. So everything we do down here is monitored. Everything we think, everything we say, everything we touch, everything. And that goes with the animals, the plants, everything. So what's really interesting is that we can find satisfaction in the fact that we are being literally tuned, like a tuning fork, to the next place that we're supposed to go. And if you look at the nether realms, which is where a lot of the more demonic personalities come from, they're really beautiful places. They're like Disneyland down there, okay? Because they're very attached to that material existence. But if you rise to those higher levels of being and doing, and you separate yourself from those more material aspects of the divine, because we all believe that we're all clothed in this divine dream, then you can reach those higher levels of understanding. Jnana, Vairagya are the two ways out of that. Jnana would be wisdom, knowledge, reading things like the Gita, the Ramayana, the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, whatever you have in your home, and really having it enter you and help you understand divinity at a higher level. And then you go to Vairagya, and that is dispassion. So regardless of the things that are happening to us, to our bodies, to our minds, to our emotions, we're able to release those things and say, I give these to spirit, and I sit in a place of peace. Now, that doesn't mean we let bad things happen to us, because there's a himsa and himsa. We have a right to defend ourselves, our families, and to speak out against evil. But it does mean to not take things personally, because we realize that there is only one main source, and there's one source in many forms, the many names and forms. So that's kind of what that represented. So you came just in time for me to pull a couple of tarot cards. Okay, so let's look at what's going on. Now, if you guys saw last night, you know who, that's who I'm going to call him. passed an act that I actually had the opportunity to talk about the security guard at our building about. He actually served time in prison after getting, before getting deported. And he said back in the Reagan days, what they used to do is they used to round us up and they would put us in jails or prisons. And I think he served like 4 years because, yeah, and he has another guy who served another 4 years, and it was because he stole a bottle of liquor, this other guy that he was with. And I think he went in for something else. But it was, if you do anything, if you look at a cop wrong, they're going to put you in jail if you're an illegal. Now, if you look at what's behind this, BlackRock is one of the biggest holders of real estate in the world. They have over 7.7 trillion in assets, and that was before the Trump administration took over. They want to make more. They own most of our prisons, and they make money per head, per inmate. So the act that he passed last night is going to fill our prisons with people that are here illegally, in the United States illegally, and create, in my opinion, work camps. They already took the children away at the border, and they found them in meat packing facilities after they took them away from their parents. So corporations are already enslaving immigrant children, and now they're coming for the adults and trying to make it legal. So that is really freaking evil. So I'm kind of interested to see what is going on there, as well as what we can do as a collective when it comes to some of these more evil things, in my opinion, happening. Okay, well, this really fits in with the energy. All right, so I got 10 of wands, and this is the Lord of Oppression. Okay, this is someone who is putting their will on somebody else so that they can get their wants met over someone else's most basic needs. That kind of fits in with the overall theme of jealousy that we were talking about. So this card represents, if you can see here, Mars and Aries. So here, sorry, not Mars and Aries. This is Saturn, and that's Sagittarius. Saturn and Sagittarius. This next one is Mars and Aries. So this is Saturn and Sagittarius, and these little sickles down here represent Saturn. Okay, so this is a very cruel, overbearing force that we can kind of expect to see come out today. It can bring some sadness and trouble, and it's a lot of excessive pressure is going to be put on the collective because there are leaders in North America that are very selfish, and they're using material ends to get what they need. And I'm really praying for the people of Mexico here, because this security guard literally said, we didn't mind Obama because he just deported us. It was Reagan and previous administrations that put us in jail and prisons and put us to work that we're worried about because they didn't let us go home. And he goes, but I don't think Trump's going to do that. Well, he just did that last night. So that's a lot of oppression. That's forced slave, stoop labor. So instead of having them come up and work in our fields, they're just going to say, okay, you're prisoners now. We're not going to pay you, or we're going to put you in cells. That's really evil, guys. So definitely pray for the people that are being oppressed right now. When you sit in your japa, your meditation, your prayer room, think about the children that have been kidnapped from their parents. Think about the people that are going to be incarcerated unfairly and unjustly instead of just sent back home because they didn't have the right paperwork. I will say I do agree with deportation if you did not come here through legal means, but they're doing this for birthright citizens. They're doing this through people that are here on work permits, and that's not right. Okay, so they're abusing the current laws, in my opinion. Okay, now the second card I got was the Two of Wands, and it came up reversed. I wish it was upright, because this tells me that we might have been able to kind of do something about this. But this eclipse energy that we had on April 8th is really intense. So this is Mars and Aries. This is the Lord of Dominion, and it brings a lot of turbulence in our environment when it comes reversed. Okay, so it's wise to withdraw. Go into prayer, go into meditation. Gerald mentioned yesterday on the show that this is the year of the hermit. So it's wise for us to sit in meditation, go into prayer, and spend time really introspecting as to how we as individual souls can then help the collective. When we go in and we spend time alone, it allows us to recalibrate and ground ourselves so that when we do go out and start doing that work, we're coming from a place of peace and tranquility. That doesn't mean to go into your hidey holes and put your covers over your head and go, okay, for the next 4 years, I'm just going to be under the covers. If you do that, it's going to be more than 4 years. Okay, we have to fight it with light. Okay, so there is going to be some sadness and some trouble today. So prepare yourselves for that. And the best thing that you can do is find a place in your heart that is peaceful, that is tranquil. If you need to enter an environment like a place in nature or an area of your home that's quiet during the day and sit in meditation, I highly recommend that because that can be very helpful toward helping our beautiful brothers and sisters get through this not great time. Okay? All right. So I hope that was helpful, guys. And know that I am sending you all lots of love as you go throughout the week. I will be here tomorrow to give, it's going to be Venus's day, which is Viernes. So we can talk a little bit about that and what Venus is doing in our lives. Shukra is the deity associated with that, and he brings us, love and luxury and relationships and things like that. Venus is also guru to the demons. So we talked about the guru to the devas and the humans, and Venus is guru to the demons. And when I say demons, I mean people that are so entrapped in the material that they don't see a spiritual way out. So what Venus does is he gives them everything that they want materially until they find out this isn't bringing me bliss, this isn't bringing me happiness, until they go, there must be more. And that's when Brihaspati steps in. So that's kind of the transfer of the gurus that happens. Thank you to all of you, and I'm sending you tons of love as you go about Thursday, Brihaspati Guru Day. Oh, let me give you guys some mantras before we go. Okay, this one is really, really easy, all right? Om Guruve Namaha. Let me grab them. Om Guruve Namaha. Om Guruve Namaha. And you can do that via a mala. Mine has tiger eyes on it for my Manipura. And I love that Gerald likes to wear tiger eye too. So you just hold it like this and go, and then this is another one. Om Brihaspataye Namaha. Om Brihaspataye Namaha. Om Brihaspataye Namaha. Okay, and then so Om Guruve and Om Brihaspate, those are really good. And I know, Samantha, you like it when I say it. So it's Om Guruve Namaha, Om Brihaspataye Namaha. Okay, and then the seed mantra is Om Gram Grim Gram Sa Brihaspataye Namaha. And then as you say them, you can just go 108 beads at a time. What I do is I do the Nama mantra 3 times, and then I do the main one, which if you're in an advanced class, I can teach you that sometime. And then I do the seed mantra, and I always do 108 for the Bij mantra, which is the Om Gram Greem Gram Sa Brihaspataye Namaha. And if you do that 108 times on a mala, ooh, is it powerful? Because seed mantras, they're seeds that we plant in our soul, and they grow into trees, and they grow more seeds, so and flowers and good things to help us on our path. So the seed mantras or Bij mantras are very powerful. So that's something that you can do today, especially as we're feeling this really fiery, oppressive energy coming out of some of the leadership that is not great. Okay, guys. So I'm going to send you lots of love, and I will see you tomorrow. And take care, everyone. Sending love.